So thank you everybody for, and thanks to the GraphQL Day Toronto crew for enabling us this opportunity. Thanks to Kat at the back who've done a ton of work to get us into shape to present here and also to prep this room and get a lot of work to support this event from the TELUS side. Today we're talking about unlimited customer experiences. I want to start off by asking everybody to stand up. There we go, okay. So I made an assumption that everybody in this room is either building or involved in building web, mobile, commerce, smart device applications or products when I ask you all to stand. If I'm missing something, let me know and I'll edit the slides. Okay. Now, please stay standing if you build or support multiple types of customer experiences. So you're touching web, mobile, IoT, home, VR, AR. Okay, a lot of people are still standing. Stay standing if you find that you are tasked with supporting more than one different type of product or application. So you're supporting all sorts of different products and applications. A lot of people are standing. Awesome. So everyone here is touching multiple types of experiences. This is amazing. Now, stay standing if the products or applications that you support change a few times a year. Just a few times. What about 10 times per year? More than 10 times a year. Stay standing. Stay standing if what you support changes more than 100 times per year. All right. What about if the products or applications you are supporting changes more than 1,000 times a year? All right. What about 10,000 times per year? All right. 4 of the people that are still standing. Like, that's awesome. You guys can pretty much go to lunch now. And that's no, thank you. So we're shifting this around, just looking at what our pain points are, looking at what our problems are, and how we're framing this. We really want to talk about both unlimited and ever-changing. So we want to talk about how do we support unlimited and ever-changing customer experiences with GraphQL. Now, this is not a TELUS-specific talk. Like, this hits a lot of industries and a lot of companies. This is hitting us, so it's near and dear to us, but it's not TELUS-specific. So my name is Andrew Kumar. I am a head of product development here at TELUS on a team called the Digital Platforms. I get to work with amazing people like Alex Flanagan, who you guys all know. I also, on evenings and weekends, I teach for General Assembly in the field of product management. And then every opportunity I get, pretty much when my kid falls asleep, I work on some stealth security and auditing and tooling products to make our life of web applications, mobile applications safer and more secure and prevent those like Equifax type data leaks. It's still in the works though. I don't have anything open source yet.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill. It's me. I'm a API developer at TELUS Digital, and I guess on my free time and hobby time, I collect Lego and lots of single malt whiskey. And I write code sometimes, so.
He's never shown me this single malt whiskey collection, so it's until I see it, it's not real, right? We have this sort of landscape of websites, web apps, mobile apps, tablets, watches, cars, homes, fridges, chatbots, social media, smart sock. Does anyone know what a smart sock is? Yeah, I have a smart sock, not for myself, but for my kid, and it tells me all of his vitals. It tells me what his oxygen is, what his sleep is like. He got 3.5 hours of deep sleep last night. Like, I'm so envious of him. That would just be amazing, 3.5 hours. We are in this landscape where there's a smart everything, and the number of those customer interfaces is growing yearly. Some colleagues of mine told me that Amazon alone puts out 4 to 5 different Alexa-type devices every year. So those customer touch points, those customer interactions are growing, and we're finding our customers, and probably your customers and your users, are wanting to interact with your brand and have a more convenient and seamless and simple life by using and leveraging all of these different customer interfaces. Then there are things like personalization, availability, reliability, security, accessibility, curation, tailored experiences. The demands that we're looking at for customers, their expectations are increasing, right? You go to Netflix, you watch a show, it makes recommendations. You go to Amazon, it makes recommendations. Everything is doing some sort of curation or some sort of tailored anticipatory experience for customers. That has become the new normal. And that is challenging if you're not set up for success in that realm. So customer expectations and demands are high. Also, customers are demanding that the experiences you have are always on, and they're safe and secure, and you're treating their data with respect. Developers, and designers. This is a conversation myself, Alex, and a few of our colleagues always have, is there's a group of humans in this building that are pretty much the most expensive humans in the building, and they're on the critical path for everything, and they're really hard to find. So what do we do? Well, talent experience is high. When we talk about talent experience, ensuring that our teams have the right tools, the right technologies, are working with exciting technologies like GraphQL to ensure that we're attracting the right talent to meet those ever-changing and unlimited customer experiences. And then finally, speed to market. We have this term called customer effort reduction, where we really try to take away all of the weight and pain and extra steps for customers. We also do the same for our team members. It makes our teams more efficient. So team member effort reduction and reuse. Microservices, APIs, tons of reuse, not building specific things for specific purpose-built applications. So the business demands are also very high. So what we're proposing today is a GraphQL schema type stitching demo that enables these types of flexible fluid capabilities, rapid prototypes, better developer experience, and that speed to market. So, GraphQL enables. Now the fun part.
All right, everybody. Let's show of hands. How many of you have built a RESTful API? Great. How about a GraphQL API? Amazing. So, how about SOAP API? I am so sorry to hear that. Anyhow, so how many times do we have to face the possibility of having a PO or PM come to us and ask just for a little change? Probably many times. And most of the time, as a RESTful API, you're typically either adding the attribute right into the JSON response, or you're doing versioning, v1, v2, v3, v4, etc., or you're starting to fragment the API such that now you have multiple different views for different experiences. And the problem is that it creates a lot of high maintenance issues, a lot of backlogs, a lot of technical debt. And it comes to the point in which you need to now manage how do you sunset your different APIs, different versioning, and your client needs to know which version of API they need to call, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So not very pleasant. And that's why we propose we use GraphQL. So typically, as we know as GraphQL, it's a GraphQL server gives you exactly what you ask for. It never gives you anything extra. So those IoT devices, it doesn't have to parse any additional JSON blobs that you ask for. And it also follows a philosophy that you always make your schema backwards compatible. So there's no versioning, none of that concern. And I typically like to sort of structure my GraphQL API in 4 layers. The schema resolver, that's basically your typical pair. And then your service layer, that's typically what we use for service orchestration. And then finally the adapters, in which we can easily swap out the backend data as needed. So this way it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you're assembling these data and where the data is coming from these different data sources. And to add a new functionality to existing GraphQL API, we just basically follow the same approach. Add the attributes we need, implement the services, implement the adapter, boom, 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 there we go, and we have our new service exposed via GraphQL. And what happens when our team gets big enough, or our business logic gets big enough, a single set of schema and resolver set that won't make too much sense. It will get too complex to maintain. It will get too big to maintain. So we basically analyze the business domain, break them down into separate GraphQL APIs, and then we use a GraphQL gateway to remotely stitch all the schemas together and expose a single endpoint for our user experience to consume. So such that we can have Contentful, we can have Shopify, and then we can have our own microservices, whereas each team managing those separate individual microservices and third-party GraphQL APIs, and then we have our own GraphQL gateway in which we stitch all the schema together and then expose to our experiences. And typically this also maps to different individual business units within an organization. So in the telecom industry, we have a standard called TM Form. It's basically a set of open API. There's about 50 of them, which tells you how to run a telecom business. And basically that breaks down into 8 separate different domains. So then we would potentially have 50 or so GraphQL APIs that represents a business and then exposed via a single GraphQL gateway for the consumers and end users. And then, I guess coming back to it, if we need to add a new functionality to our business, it's as simple as introducing a new microservice that fulfills the business requirements and then expose it to the gateway such that the experience can take advantage of the new functionality. So, everybody likes code and everybody likes working things. I'm gonna just do a quick demo on what we've proposed today, and then, yeah, we'll see this thing in action. All right. Let me just quickly get this demo up and running. Oh, come on. All right, lovely. So, a couple of terminals here. Can we all see them? Great. Let's clear them. So basically, what I've done today was I built a really quick travel agency. I just went on vacation to Mexico, lots of sun, lots of beach, great water. So the first thing I did was I created a GraphQL instance that pulls down data from Contentful. Contentful, it's a content as a service, yeah, that offers content service. And the great thing about Contentful is that it actually exposes all the spaces as a GraphQL endpoint. So then we can pull those schemas down and then stitch them together. So as an example, we can see that all the data is coming from Contentful. So, and then we can see the docs being pulled in. So we have 2 different spaces within Contentful, and then they're being pulled into our stitched together schema. And then the second set of GraphQL API, it's a very quick and simple review application. So when you go on vacation, you come back, you typically you'll get an email in your inbox, be like, hey, tell us how we did, tell us how the vacation went, and give us feedback. So this is a very quick, simple, it's a REST API that's wrapped as a GraphQL wrapper. So then we can easily query our reviews in here, or we can even add a review. Again, it's a very contrived example. There isn't any schema validations, etc. So anyone can just do anything, but for the sake of demo, here it is. And then the next thing that I've built, it's basically a gateway. The gateway will stitch our Contentful schema, our review schema, and finally Shopify schema because it's a travel agency. All right, and you can see my key there, so I'll make sure to remove that after. And here it is. So we basically, what we've done was, I've took a look at the business domain. I've broken them down into reviews, Contentful, and Shopify, where reviews are the customer review and feedback, Contentful, it's where the marketing people can manage content about the travel agency, and Shopify, it's, well, where you buy stuff. And we can pull down the data from each individual sources from the gateway, and all the data will be assembled and stitched together to give you this final view. Okay, so that's great. And the next step is to build a web that will allow you to fulfill the requirement of the business. So I've took advantage of Gatsby.js, and I've built a very simple static-based web, and I'm just going to run that. Lovely. So here we go. Here's our little vacation website. You can go on these nice places. There's lots of sun and sand and great drinks. You can click into separate these individual destinations. You can take a look at them. You can see facts, and then you can add them to cart. So as we see here, we don't have that review functionality. What I'm going to do now is basically build that into this website and deploy it, therefore a change. And as usual, showbiz, I've done this before. Oh. I'm going to basically query against the GraphQL endpoint. I'm going to collect the data, and then finally I'm going to display it on our individual destination properties, so then we can actually see all the reviews that are coming in. So let's just restart that. Let's build our website. Here we go. And when we refresh, voila, we're basically pulling down a new functionality that's being exposed by the GraphQL gateway. And the other beauty of this is that as a individual person in the company, you may not be technical, so we can easily add and modify different price points or different content to our website without having to be technical or add any code. So a content management person can go into Contentful. They can go into any individual destination, and they can add a change. They press publish, and say if there is a sale going on, let's go to Shopify. Let's add our sale item really quickly. Okay, let's say 30 days. Wouldn't that be great? Nice and sun. All right, so we've added those changes. Because it's a static website, let's just rebuild. Great. And when we go back to our little travel agency site, we see that the changes has been pulled in from Contentful, the prices are being pulled in from Shopify, and our content are pretty much changed instantaneously. And with the use of webhooks and other mechanisms, we can easily automate all of this without having to rebuild and redeploy manually. So,
cool.
Oh dear. So I guess a quick overview and background on the demo. We have Contentful, we have Shopify exposed via the gateway, consumed by the web experience. I've added my own microservice, the review functionality, and exposed via the gateway for our web experience to consume. And that's it.